Thank you very much for coming in. I want to go back to housing again, but also just to ask about public land and alternatives to selling it off. The new Mayor and Transport for London have made the positive decision to focus more of their public land on joint ventures and long-term rental homes, which help deliver homes London needs and create a long-term revenue stream rather than selling them off. I recently visited Holloway Prison, which is owned by the Ministry of Justice and has great potential for this. So do you agree that this approach of not selling off land but keeping an interest, focusing more on revenue, has potential not just for TfL but also for other public land owned by other parts of government?
I think it can be part of the solution. What I would say to you is that I think the sort of historic approach of just flogging off sites to a large developer is not necessarily the best way of going about these things. It might maximise the short-term capital receipt, but it doesn't necessarily maximise the number of homes you get. It certainly doesn't maximise the build-out rate that you would get. I suppose where I would slightly disagree with you is that although I think more homes for rent are part of what London needs, I don't think it's the sole thing. So if you want, most Londoners want to own their own home, and so we also therefore need to make sure that we build more homes for ownership in order that affordability comes down. So coming back to Assemblymember Devonish's question, one of the things that we're looking at as part of what we call our accelerated construction programme is take a large site of public land, break it up into small chunks, go into joint ventures with individual small builders. So I think what you want, if you want to get the quickest build out of a site, is you want a mix of tenures. You want different developers, some doing private rented, some doing sub-market rent, some doing home ownership, and that kind of mixture, different builders doing things on site, maximises the build out rate, which is what I'm most interested in.
Okay, I mean that's good to hear. If I could pitch again though for the benefit of affordable rented homes, a report last month from New Economics Foundation looked at public land that's planned for sale and the potential for affordable homes on 10 sites. They estimated that building affordable housing in these places could reduce the housing benefit bill by £231 million, and that's on top of the rents that you collect. So it seems that if you look at it at a government level, above the single ministry level, at the exchequer level, departments holding land could bring benefits to other parts of government by doing this, by focusing on affordable homes for rent. And I wondered if that more strategic approach is something you could try and take up to the Cabinet or the Prime Minister.
Yep, so the government is hugely interested in this agenda, so we've got a target to dispose of public land across the country equivalent to 160,000 homes. We're also going to try and work with local authorities to get a similar level of disposal. Here in London we have the idea agreed of a sort of London Land Commission that would bring myself and the Mayor together, and I think there's huge potential to work at looking at government land, GLA land and London Borough's surplus land, what we can do in terms of disposal to both ensure that we get the mix of housing that London needs, affordable rent, but also PRS and home ownership, and to get, crucially, the build-out rates. Because as I said in response to Assemblymember Devonish, one of the real problems we've got in terms of housing policy is it takes far too long from when you get planning permission for homes to actually get those homes built in.
Okay, just very finally, you didn't mention earlier on community-led housing models, and I know you visited Cornwall CLT recently, so you think those play a part as well? Hugely
interested in that as an agenda. There's a great scheme in East London that I visited as well, and I think that idea of getting low-cost home ownership where the homes are permanently affordable, so that you sell them to someone, that person gets sold, and when they sell on, they get sold on at that lower price, so those homes are permanently affordable for low-cost home ownership, and also CLTs also do a lot in terms of affordable rent as well. I think it's a really interesting model. George Osborne announced £60 million for these kinds of community housing schemes a little while ago, and news will be coming very shortly about how we're allocating that. So it's something I'm very interested in.
Okay, on that positive note, thanks.